All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show, live with Carter Smith. Got some things to tackle
Good deal,
today,
man.
and
Absolutely, man. Pleasure to be here.
all
How's
right,
your week been so far, Andre?
it's been good. No complaints. Can't complain.
Yeah,
Sports on every day.
yeah, love that, man. Got the tournament back in action today. Had some NIT games earlier this week, and opening day of baseball, big day for a lot of people. I still got about an hour and 15 minutes until my Guardians or Indians, as I call them, take off and hit the mound. But a lot of fun this week, man. It's been a good week. Really got a lot going on right now.
And I'm sure everybody out there watching, you guys' brackets are busted as
Oh, for
mine.
sure. If you remember last time we talked, man, I was watching the Kentucky game that would ultimately break my bracket.
Yeah, that Kentucky set some people back some coin
Yeah,
and
unfortunately, all it did was break my bracket. It didn't break John Calipari's contract.
well, yeah, that's a point of contention down there at University of Kentucky right now. So,
Yeah, for
and we
sure.
got we got I guess you ready to get it started with
Yeah,
running down
absolutely,
the
man. Let's
running down the line?
as as my nephew would say, let's.
Yeah, let's get it going. So the NCAA president is calling for a ban on prop bets for college athletics.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, dude, it was only a matter of time before this happened, right? I mean, it's just the easiest way to manipulate gambling is with individual player props, right? Because, like, especially in team sports, like, I can't go out there and make sure my team doesn't win if I'm not the quarterback, or even if I'm the quarterback, my defense might play out of their mind. But if you tell me don't throw for more than 300 yards and you're going to give me a bag to do that, I can go fucking make terrible throws all game for sure. So I mean, it makes sense. I hate it. I fucking hate it because I love player props. That's where I spend most of my time on gambling. I think like Steph Curry over 3.5. Well, Steph Curry's NBA, so it'd be fine. But like, you get some of these players, it's like over 3.5 3-pointers in a game. It's like, dude, that's a lock every game for Steph. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. over 6 catches or whatever. Like those things became locks and it was easy to do, but it's too easy to manipulate. And I hate it. I think people are still going to do it. That's the worst part about it is like, yeah, I can't go do it on BetGM, or FanDuel, but I can still go to my bookie. I can still go to some of those overseas websites I was using. So it's not going to stop it, but it's going to stop it on the massive scale that it was headed towards. Because I mean, with everything that you've seen from basketball and things like that already, prop bets are the way to manipulate gambling.
Yeah, and I just don't think that whenever they rolled out the legalized gambling, you cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
And I mean, 15 years ago, if you watched ESPN or any sports show, they would not bring up a point spread. They would not bring up a player
Oh
prop.
yeah.
As
No.
soon as as soon as they legalized it, it's went bananas. And it's
Oh
a
yeah. I
it's a
mean, there's all kinds of every show talks about it. Every ESPN has the spread readily available on their app, on the shows, whatever. I mean, shit. We have a local radio station here. The sports radio station has a on the money show is what it's called, and it's literally just about gambling. And it's every Sunday before like NFL football or whatever. And it's like, dude, the media went is like so far from one spectrum to the other side that you knew this was going to happen. And now you got the amount of people that are professional gamblers now, right, is just out of control. Like, I'm a professional gambler. Okay, what do you do? I sit around and I make $100 here and there. Like that's not professional, buddy. But the amount of people that are putting big money into that system, and there's going to be a lot of big money transactions that hinge on a young kid that has no money. And if I stand to win 7 figures, I might give away 5 figures to make sure that it happens. Right?
Exactly. And I think the amount of kids that it's came out to be that have been involved in this, I think
Mhm.
they're only scratching the surface of where it really is. And I don't think point shaving's been going on for years. I think it's more prevalent in college basketball than
Mhm.
college football. Uh,
Probably.
that that Mo Hassan came out and said that the SEC games have been rigged for years, and people
Yeah.
offered him. And, and I'm just thinking to myself, the committees that USA Gambling or whatever they are, their major
Mhm.
clients or every major sports league that look at irregularities in the
Yeah.
betting markets. That's how they caught Alabama's baseball coach, because some guy in Cincinnati.
Bro,
Uh,
that's a wild story, isn't it?
well, and I might be getting off topic here, but every casino knows who their big money players are, and
Yeah.
if they see you, they don't recognize you, and you come in and you spend $10,000 on a game that there may be nobody's bet on all day,
Yeah.
that's gonna throw up a
That's
red
gonna be a
flag.
flag immediately. Dude, and Buddy didn't go to a casino to place the bet. He went to Great American Ballpark, the Reds Stadium, and placed $100,000 wager on somebody that no action had been going on at all. And it's like, dude, you can't spend 6 figures on that. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's just. And also, where the fuck did you come up with $100,000 in an hour? Like, what is going on?
Well, not only do you have that going on, whenever they make these wagers, you have all the regulatory committees that sit there, and if
Oh yeah.
there's that's how they caught Arizona State when those
Mm-hmm.
guys were shaving points, because I think one of the casinos caught on. It might have been MGM or somebody like that. Noticed back
Yeah.
in the mid '90s, whenever these guys, they had guys coming in, or kids coming in, all wearing Arizona State gear, in the masses putting $100, $200 all on Arizona State to cover, and it's like, time out, time out.
Yeah. Like, how fucking stupid could you be?
And and I have a local local off track betting place in my town, and I'm sure if somebody walked in there that they've never seen before comes in there and
Yeah.
drops 10 G's or 20 G's,
No,
they
for
might
sure.
they might flag the bet itself. But if it's a big game, then it's going to go underneath. But if you're betting Manhattan versus Iona and you're putting 10 G's on 4.5,
Right.
they're going to fucking question that.
Yeah, for sure. That's just it's become a wild, wild west in so many different ways in college athletics. I mean, between transfer portal, eligibility, NIL, and now gambling, these kids are opened up to so many possibilities of corruption and different things like that. That I mean, like I said, I don't like the president asking every state to ban props. I know the state of Ohio already has, or at least they put it into some legislation that's apparently passing, or I don't fucking know how it works. Governor DeWine waves his wand and fucking says abracadabra. I don't know. But it's apparently happening here. I'm not looking forward to it because I cashed in a good amount of bets this past fall on prop bets. And I can still do that with the professional leagues and things like that, but college was a little bit easier.
Oh,
The
yeah.
number of times that fucking Travis Kelsey or somebody would have 6 catches. Oh, Tyreek Hill was the worst. Dude would have like 8 catches. His over under be 8.5, and they would be up fucking 40 points because they were just running up, and all of a sudden he's not playing the rest of the game. I'm like, dude, just get him in there and catch one more ball. I just need 9 catches.
Right. Oh yeah, and I feel like that's overrated. I was gonna put it in the private chat, but they just interrupted the basketball game for anybody in the greater Allen County or Fort Wayne area. The mayor Tom Henry just passed away, so
Oh,
that that is
R.I.P. Tom.
yeah, that is huge news in the city of Fort Wayne.
Really?
Condolences to yeah,
Is
condolences
he's
to
been around a while?
yeah, he was a
Yeah,
long-standing mayor, so some
gotcha.
people liked
No,
him, some people hated him, so it is what
no,
it is. But
that's typically how politicians are, right?
yeah, breaking
Yeah.
news.
Well,
But
good deal. Well, not
yeah,
good deal. Condolences to his family and everybody that liked him.
yep. I guess moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Trevor Etienne,
Mm-hmm.
University of Georgia running back,
Mm-hmm.
DUI arrest.
I don't love that.
The report that I read was driving
Mm-hmm.
80 to 90 miles an hour, crossing a double yellow line, passing cars.
Oh,
Uh, I have had
come on,
this
buddy.
I've had this conversation with a lot of people that have been on the podcast before. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what they're expecting whenever they're giving these kids hundreds of thousands of dollars, fast cars, in an endless supply of money, and they don't think that something bad
Listen,
is
man.
going to happen.
Yeah, and bad stuff's gonna happen, and that's just part of it. I mean, that shit. The thing is, and it's been going on way before NIL, right? So like the kids were getting money some way, somehow, and not to the level they are now. Obviously, like they weren't getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, some people were. Eric Dickerson got a damn Camaro or whatever, but most of the time they were getting reasonable amounts of money, usually through, you know, legal ways, sometimes under the table ways, whatever. But I mean, this was always what was going to happen. And but even back then, before they had this level of income, this level of celebrity, which they are always celebrities, but they these things happened, right? DUIs are not a new thing. I remember, I think 2006, Florida had like 11 DUIs on the team or something like that. Shit just happens with college kids. You definitely shouldn't do it while speeding and being reckless. But young kids make mistakes. That's what they do. Everybody has probably made a mistake or two in their life when they were, 18, 19, 20, 24, whatever. And they probably wish they could go back and change that mistake. The problem is he was being reckless, driving way too fast. And when you start talking about crossing double yellow lines to weave in and out of traffic, now you're talking about reckless op, and you're talking about potential jail time. And I would tell you what, I saw a clip of Nick Saban talking about Henry Ruggs. And if that doesn't, if you ever get a chance to see the clip, he's talking to his players about Henry Ruggs after the accident. And he said he was a great kid, never had an issue at Alabama, never got in trouble for anything. And one night went out, got stupid, and he didn't have a single friend, because a real fucking friend would have looked at him and taken his keys and said, "You cannot drive." And unfortunately, nobody was that person to him. And he ended up driving 100 and almost 50 miles an hour or whatever into the back of a woman and her dog. And now a young, promising, really good kid is spending potentially his life in prison. And it's like, if Travers Etienne got sat down by Nick Saban and had that talk and still went out and did this, I'd contemplate kicking him off the team. Like, dude, you're just being negligent at that point. But I don't know if he had anybody to tell him, hey, you're being stupid, right? You got to have teammates that are going to step up and be like, dude, we got too much on the line for this.
And
And I think he's gonna pay some fines. He might have to do some community service. I mean, it'll be nothing. He didn't hurt anybody, thank God. So it'll be fine. He'll have a DUI on his record for 7 years or whatever.
right, and it's almost to the point that I think that there's an issue, maybe a bigger issue that's going on at Georgia, because you had
Yeah.
it started with the lady that was I believe she was a recruiting girl or a staffer, and the teammate, and
Yeah, and the
Jalen
Philadelphia.
Carter.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter.
Uh
You had
huh.
that incident, and then last spring, heading into the season, they had a shitload of speeding tickets. It's to the point to where I don't know if Kirby Smart doesn't care, but how many driving issues does he need? Does he need to have a Henry Ruggs before somebody says, "Look, dude, I get it. You won two natties, but you can't be doing this."
Yeah. So I would say it's probably two pronged. He needs to get better in his message to his players, and he needs to show that he takes it seriously. Because right now his players don't. He probably is talking a bunch of shit, saying whatever, like, "Hey, we can't be doing this." Da, 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 da. His players don't buy it because he's not enforcing any sort of standard, right?
Hmm.
Obviously. Number two, I mean, and I'm just telling you this. I don't, buddy. You gotta have better quality control staff. How are these players doing this? How do you not have somebody on the police force that's going to tip you off about this shit and get out in front of it so the media doesn't run with it? How are you not getting in front of these people with lawyers that are hired by the university to maintain this? I mean, you got to have the staff in place. And I'm not saying that to let kids get away with stuff, but at least control the media circus around it. Like you got to be able to control the messaging of stuff. Like when Urban Meyer was at Florida, his teams were notorious for getting in trouble, but the media never had a huge hold on what was really going on. And maybe it actually, I'm not even gonna say that. I was gonna say maybe it's easier in Gainesville than Athens, but fuck that. Athens is a college town just like Gainesville. You got to be able to control your people and not sweep shit under the rug or get them off charges or anything like that, but just make it so it doesn't sound and look as bad. You got to have a good PR team, and he doesn't right now.
And the controlling of the narrative is an issue, I believe, going on at Georgia, because I believe when you pull media credentials, when you cut people out of the loop, that's their livelihood,
Yeah,
they're going to go
yeah,
on a rampage, and they are going to come after you. You were free, you were sitting in the captain's seat almost when a media member wants to grind an axe.
yeah. It's not a good deal because they all of a sudden have a huge vendetta and a huge reason to do it, right? Especially if you're like a beat reporter on the Georgia beat, right? And Kirby Smart says, "Hey, fuck you, get out of my. You're not allowed in around here." Well, guess what? Now I ain't got shit to report on. So I'm gonna spend my whole time looking into your program and everything that happens outside of the facility because I'm not allowed in the facility. So
Mm.
I'm gonna be. I mean, I'm gonna have a because, buddy, I got it already right now. Like I got Google alerts set up. Anytime anything drops with certain names in the news, I get an email,
Oh yeah.
and I'm just a regular dude. I'm not a media member. So if I can set that up for me, I guarantee you they got some crazy shit that'll send you an email like, "Hey, buddy, Travis at the end, DUI," and it's like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good story for me. Fuck you, Kirby. Shouldn't have banned me."
Yep, because I believe that was some of the witch hunt that went on throughout college football. It seems like there's every other year there is a witch hunt. This is off. I'm straying from the notes again, but um,
There you go.
this is because of my age. The first witch hunt that I remember vividly was Mike Leach with Craig James's kid.
Oh,
That
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
that Leach put him in the shed or something like
Yeah, he put
that,
him in like an electrical closet or something, and
and it was hot, and
yeah.
and they went after Mike Leach full bore down there because he played
Mhm.
loose and fast with the media, and they got him. And
Yeah.
the one thing with the media, if you have enough sharks um circling the boat, they will get you. They got Bob Knight in
Oh, yeah.
Indiana. They get their
Oh,
pound of flesh.
they've gotten everybody, man. I mean, if it gets hot enough, and the thing is, it only takes one pissed off media member to start the problem. But once that story starts gaining traction, every media outlet is like a fly attracted to shit. Like, oh shit, we got to get there. We got to get the news, right? It's time to do the news, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm here. We can do the news now. Like, and they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming until they just can't. And they finally get the entire story or what they portray as the entire story, and to the point that the university or whoever has no choice, right? I mean,
And
you can look at college basketball has been crazy about that the past 10, 15 years. I mean, you look at Rick Pitino, you look at or Bobby Petrino also at Louisville. But like, I mean, just all kinds of
yeah,
coaches have just gotten media fucked.
uh, uh, Patino's instance a little different, I think.
Oh, for sure.
He had some ethics issues, I believe. There was a lot of
There's a lot of ethics issues that the media finds out about and maybe doesn't report, but they had a reason to report it.
and the bigger thing for me is if you know something and you sit on it as a media member,
Hmm.
because you could take me and you, we could be the Bulldogs bullshit podcast, and we have
Yeah.
media credentials, and the let's say Kirby does a press conference tomorrow and we even remotely ask and he pulls our credentials and you still know
Hmm.
people around the team or you know
Hmm.
some shit that went on,
Yeah.
it comes into a full-on hit piece.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I
So
mean, that's just how the media works. But back to Trevor and his specific situation. I mean, I think he'll uh, see. I don't think Kirby. I don't think there's going to be a big hammer brought down on him, right? Like he'll probably get a 1 game suspension and have to do some community service, pay a little fine, whatever, and that'll be it. And hopefully, he has to do what he should have to do, which is something that I believe every DUI has to do, at least in the state of Ohio. He should have to do some classes. He's got to do some alcohol classes, and he's got to do some responsibility classes where it goes and outlines like the terrible shit that can happen if you drink and drive. Because he obviously, I've done it, man. Like I've drank and drive before. Like I'm not saying that I'm holier than thou or anything like that, but eventually you got to learn, like, dude, it's just not worth it. Especially when you got money, bro. Not worth it. You can afford a $20 Uber, I promise you, if you're getting any kind of NIL.
uh, I'm telling you, I have uh yeah not since we bring that up, Richie made a good point here on the
Yeah,
driving.
yeah, that's fair. You can do that.
So that's one thing, and I guess my final thought on the Trevor thing is that um, we've all been there, we've all made some bad mistakes, and
Well, yeah,
um, like we go down for the spring game if we need to. Let's split in a $50-$60 Uber and
yeah, no, absolutely,
maybe paying a parking ticket. It's not the end of the world.
yeah. No, I can tell you, paying $50 for an Uber, and even let's say your car gets towed and it's $300 to get it out. That's a lot cheaper than a DUI. I promise you.
Yep. The last time I was in South Bend, I got towed.
Yep, that's a pain in
So
the ass, but
It is,
but better
but
than getting a DUI.
yep. So I guess on that note, we will move on. Next topic is Richie says, Carter, I'm not giving you your driving test. Oh, Richie.
Hey, yeah, you don't even need to test me. Just write pass. I'm good.
It
I'm good.
yeah. Or it would end up being like what was that movie? Bull Rat, when Bull Rat takes a driving test and he just
Yes.
pulls out a fifth and he's like, "You can't drink that." That would definitely be something we could do to Richie. He would be panicking.
That'd be pretty funny.
Oh, he'd probably just he'd look out there and see if it was me and you out there looking for a driving test. He'd be like, "Nope, not doing it. Somebody else. Come
No,
on."
no. Shit, I might go take one just for fun, man.
Yeah. So on a positive note, we will
Okay.
bounce on to Coach Sanders in Colorado. Coach
Oh, you mean
Sanders.
Prime? Got you, Coach Prime. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody calls Nick Nick, and I don't think anybody calls Urban to his face, at least, or Coach
His,
Tressel.
his
Or
name's Dion. His name's not Prime.
well, you either want to coach football or you don't. But this is a
Yeah.
big topic. This is a big topic.
Okay.
I've heard before I get to the topic that I wrote out, I've heard he
Mhm.
doesn't do home visits. As
Mm.
a dad of
I've
a
heard that as
son,
well.
as a
Hmm.
dad of a son, or um,
Yep.
or your kids,
Yeah.
if the coach says you got to come to me, I'm not doing a home visit. And now you mean to tell me guys that have jewelry, guys that have multiple championships do home visits. They
Hmm.
probably don't do every single recruit, but somebody
Yeah.
goes there. Now,
Yeah. I mean, I know Urban did almost every. I mean, not every single recruit, but every home visit except for a couple that I know of that he didn't go to, maybe. But no, I see what you're saying. You're asking me if it was my son, right, in that situation, and Coach Prime's like, "Hey, I'm not coming to you. You guys can come to me." Would I would I want to advise my son to go there, or how would I feel about that? I don't know. That's tough. I think ultimately I would feel a little lack of respect from him in that as a man. Like, buddy, like I know he's big time. Like I know he's a superstar. I know he's got, Super Bowl rings and he's got accolades and he's, done this, done that. So I understand where it's like, dude, your son isn't me. I don't need to come visit you. But as a man, I'd be like, you should respect me enough. The fact that you want my son to play football for you should be enough for you to have the respect for me to come to my house and talk to me about it.
and because we live in the Midwest, and
Yeah.
I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there. If you're a top recruit in the country, I'm going to
Hmm.
send my kid 2 time zones away. And you mean to tell me you can't get on your private jet and you want to talk
Right.
about all this money Colorado's making
Hmm.
and you can't get on a private jet and sit your ass in my living room? I think that's the bare minimum you could do is give me 3 hours of your time.
Right.
Be-
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I haven't looked at the recruiting at all, so don't cook me if I'm wrong. I would be willing to bet that Prime's recruiting in the Midwest and the South is not as good as everywhere else.
I bet.
I bet he does fine in the South, like Florida, because he's Prime. But I just if you got a top 5 recruit in the country in the Midwest and he's not willing to come meet the family and sit down for a meal and break bread, that's a huge problem in the Midwest, dude. I'm serious. Like we believe in a very strong sense of traditional values in some regards. Like not getting political, but like just like man to man, you're going to ask me to send my son to Boulder, Colorado, thousands of miles away or whatever, and you're going to come talk to me about it. I'm not going to come to you. I get it. I can go visit your fancy mansion whenever I want. I got a top 5 fucking recruit in the country, buddy. If you want him bad enough, I got an open invite to that house.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But hey, he's earned the right to do it now. He's earned the right to do whatever the fuck he wants. So if that's how he wants to be, cool. You're not getting my son, but you'll get plenty of people that are like, "Yeah, that's fine. I don't need that."
Right. And I I find it on that aspect it's really strange to me because you talk about the guys that played for we'll leave Urban out of it. Tressel,
Mhm.
he still texts the guys that played for him on their birthdays.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh, Jim Tressel, and I say this with complete conviction. Jim Tressel is one of the greatest people in the world, bar none. Greatest human being. The way that he was brought up, the way that he lived his life. I don't care what happened. I don't give a fuck that somebody got tattoos and whatever. And I know that whole story intimately. And I know the lawyer that tipped him off, and I know Jim, and I know exactly how it went down. And Jim's biggest problem was that he was too loyal to somebody that played at Ohio State under my grandfather to throw him under the bus and lied to the NCAA about it. And so then when the NCAA uncovered it, he was cooked. That wasn't an indictment on Jim's character at all. Actually, I think it was a reinforcement on his character. He was so loyal to the former Buckeye that he didn't want him get him disbarred from the Ohio Bar Association because some fucking kid got a tattoo. He's like, dude, fuck that. Now, unfortunately, ended up getting disbarred, ended up losing his job at Ohio State, all of it. But he tried. And he was like, dude, this is stupid. The NCAA should just fucking go away. And they didn't. But sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there.
no,
But
no, no. You have the intimate knowledge on that because I'm trying to think. Tattoo Gate was what 2010, right?
yeah, 2010, yeah.
Yeah, it's been some time because I remember I was in high school at the time, and then
Mm,
we'll get back to the meat and bones of this, but I was in
yeah.
high school at the time. ESPN did a horrible job of reporting it for one,
Oh, fuck yeah, they did.
and
Because they knew they
and and
ESPN.
and I've heard Torg talk about that, and he's going to do a tell-all
Mm-hmm.
on the OVE about that coming up soon, I do believe.
Yeah.
Shout out OVE and Minister Sports right there with
Yep.
my
Yeah,
vintage
absolutely.
hat, vintage
Yeah.
hat. So, but
Yeah.
we'll get back to it. So, in the notes, Prime says that he is going to control where Travis and Shador go in next year's draft, which I I don't see it. I I I think Travis needs another year of school. I think he's too small to play in the NFL. Does he check all the boxes? Yes, but is he going to tackle Derrick Henry?
No, but NFL corners don't tackle a lot, anyways. I mean, there's very
Eh,
few that are Denzel Ward. They have to go out there and throw their body at the legs and try. But tackling isn't something I am hugely worried about with corners. It's if you can do it, that's a bonus. But I'd rather you be really good at covering.
yes, yes.
So, Travis Hunter, I don't know if I don't know if he's going to be in a position to pick where he goes. Honestly, I don't know. I think Prime said they're both top 5 picks, which is just absurd. First of all, corners hardly ever go top 5, and he's not a receiver in the NFL. And receivers never do either, unless they're generational, like neighbors and
Right.
Marvin, obviously. But no, and as far as him picking where they're going to go, um, I don't have a problem with that. I
I
think I understand the draft and why it is the way it is, but like, bro, look at Justin Fields. Justin Fields' career could be completely ruined because he went to Chicago.
Well, he yeah, definitely Chicago dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Just
Like
horrendous.
if he would have Eli Manninged it, and I'd have to go back in the draft and see where he could have gone or whatever. But and I know he wasn't taken one overall, so it's not as easy to Eli Manning it at whatever he was 12 or something. But
Well, it was pretty much just a straight up player for player trade. They just traded what was it? I believe Eli for Philip Rivers.
yeah, yeah. But the only reason they did that is because Eli told the Chargers, "I will not play for you. So you can draft me. I'm not signing a goddamn contract. I'll sit my ass out." And they said, "Okay, well, instead of trading the pick, we're going to draft you and tell San Diego to draft Philip Rivers and we'll just swap."
Yeah, it
Because
just
Eli also wanted that first overall pick compensation.
yes. Not
So,
not to devalue him.
yeah, exactly. So he told him, he's like, "You guys can draft me, but then you got to flip me because I want that number one overall pick money. So you either got to trade the pick to somebody who's going to draft me, or you have to draft me and trade me."
Oh yeah, because that was before I forgot uh
That was before the automatic contracts or whatever, like the where it's like
yes. Who was the
in
last guy that
Sam
got
Bradford. Sam Bradford.
yes,
Yeah.
Bradford, yeah.
He
They
made
did
like
they
something stupid like 40 million a year out of the gate.
Oh no, what did I do?
I
Whoops.
don't know. You made me small. It's okay. Now you made me real big. There
Now
you
we're
go. That's
normal.
better.
Now we're normal. Well, okay, I've been distracted as hell. Clemson just won by 5,
Let's go,
77.
baby. Let's
So
go.
so we're on
The
it. So
fighting
we're on it.
Dabos. The fighting Dabos.
Well, yeah, yeah. They are pumped. I've been that if you're wondering why I'm staring over there, everybody, it's because I have a vested interest in that. So,
Bro, Richie's killing me. I saw in the chat, he was saying when I was saying, "Oh, you made me smaller. Oh, you made me bigger." He goes, "That's what she said."
nah, Richie, you're killing me right now.
He's one of those menace degenerates.
Yeah, yes, sir. But anyway,
All right.
as a okay, focus.
Yep.
Uh, try to now.
Yeah, I got you.
Uh, Shador, I don't know if he is a first round pick or not. I think we gotta see more
Yeah, I
out
mean,
of
I
him.
absolutely need to see more. I believe he is. I think, and maybe the name helps. It's the same. It's not the same, but it's like Bronny James probably goes round one just because his last name is James. And yeah, I'm telling you,
Mm,
you may not believe it, but there's a bunch of GMs that'll just draft that name. I
yeah,
promise you. But the difference is they would draft that name with the hope that it came with LeBron joining their squad for a couple years. But nobody's hoping Dion's suiting back up. So, but no, I don't know if he's a first rounder right now, but he definitely has the tools, the athleticism, and everything to be a first rounder next year. If
yeah,
not the number one quarterback off the board, honestly.
yeah. Next year's quarterback class is not very strong. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I would roll
I don't know.
Ewers number one.
You got Quinn Ewers. You got
Dylan Gabriel.
Carson Beck, Dylan Gabriel, DJ Unga Ungale. I mean,
There's
there's a
some.
couple, but like we'll see what they are next year. Like DJ, I'm not sold he's a first round talent, but if he
No.
goes to Florida State and balls out, he could be. He was a former 5-star like big time dude.
Yeah.
So
But
and
this is something that I should have added to the notes, but
mm,
I spent some time last night and I went through a lot of the Elite 11,
okay,
like the past classes. And if you
yeah,
look at the dudes that either didn't make it or never got out of like their regional, or the guys
Mm-hmm.
that were MVP from, I believe it's like '02, '02 to like 2017, they didn't hit on one, not hardly any
Really
not hardly any guys that were great NFL quarterbacks.
interesting.
It it's wild if you just go to the website and look and be like, I
Mm.
remember him and all the hype and everything when he was coming
Yeah,
out. So I just want to see what Shador does this year before I can say, okay,
yeah,
all you Colorado fans talking crazy.
yeah. I mean, the problem is he did well last year in the beginning, but he had an absolute train wreck in front of him at O line, so it's hard to judge that. I mean, he's got the arm talent, he's got the athleticism. I think he can read a defense. I don't know much more beyond that.
The biggest thing that I do not like about Shador is I don't like his throwing motion.
Yeah,
I I think it's elongated, and he's slow to deliver the ball. I think he hangs
yeah,
onto the ball too long. But
that's fair.
outside
That's
of that, we'll keep her rolling uh
okay.
to something more pressing in the NFL draft. JJ McCarthy. I have seen
Mhm.
mock drafts as him going as high as number 2 overall.
Oh yeah, buddy, he's number two. Take him, Commanders. Go ahead.
I apparently we're watching different film.
No. I'm being sarcastic.
No, I'm just saying in
Oh,
general.
but yeah,
What are these NFL guys doing? They are not
yeah.
even. I
There's
don't
not a
think
lot
they're.
of film to watch. He doesn't throw the
Yeah,
ball,
it's
so and when he does, it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks okay. I mean, it looks solid. And then he goes out and he does Zach Wilson's pro day, and everybody's like jacking themselves off to it. So I get it. This is what happens. But no, I mean, he's going in the first round. That's a lock. You can go ahead and put that on the board. TJ, who's your mama? Like it's done. That's over. It's and I think, which I don't think he should be a lock for this. I think he's a lock to go top 15.
That's going to cost somebody near and dear to your heart some money.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I
I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But now, as he would say, and I agree, I was told Will Levis was a lock to go top 4.
Yeah, there was a lot
So
of that, but I think some people decided to, let's look at this tape. Let's watch this tape intently. But he's
hopefully they do that with JJ because I mean, I think JJ's got a chance to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't think he'll ever be great, but I think he's got. I mean, he's a competitor. He's obviously got the winning down, right? Like he won 15 games with or without Connor Stallion's help. I don't know, but he did it. And I just I can see I watched the Bourbon and Ball where Zach broke down JJ McCarthy, and he makes some throws. Now every now and then he makes one that you're like, whoa, what was that? But NFL guys love to think they can fix a dude, right? I mean, look at everybody the Browns have ever drafted at quarterback.
you know what? Here's a show idea.
Mm-hmm.
We should do a breakdown of the Browns since they came back from '99. Just go through the stats, go through the games, and break 10 of them down at a time. Or we could do that next off
Do,
season.
do you want me to have to like go to rehab for alcohol poisoning? Like,
Uh, it's
it would be
that.
no fun at all. It would be awful.
Well, we could break down Steelers quarterbacks from '80 to '04.
It would take about an hour.
Some bad guys in there, but we had
Oh yeah, okay.
we had the we had
Because
Bubby
what when
Brister.
Yeah, you're right.
Bubby Brister,
When
Neil O'Donnell.
hey, Richie Whedon's my guy now. All right.
Hey.
I
Uh,
met Brandon Whedon at the Memorial Tournament here in Columbus.
oh man, he seems like a really nice guy, and he
He
went to
was he
Cleveland.
was he was decked out in nothing but orange, like Ricky Fowler, because they both went to Oklahoma State together. So he's a huge
Mm,
Ricky Fowler fan. He was following him. And a house I was at, my wife, his friend or dad's friend owned a house on the course, and so we were at this party, and I look over and I was like, "Is that Brandon Whedon?" And I'm talking to her dad's friend. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's Brandon. I'm good friends with the GM of the Browns." And I look over and I forget the GM's name right now. It wasn't John Dorsey. I forget who it was back then. But I look over, I was like, "Oh Jesus, that's the GM." Like I've seen press conferences with him. And so he's like, "Yeah, you want me to introduce you?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And so I went over and he's like, "Hey, this is my friend's son-in-law, Carter." And I was like, "Hey, how's it going, Brandon? Good luck this year." And then he went out and fucking threw 85 interceptions. And
uh,
it was also the GM that drafted Trent Richardson, which was a huge success.
well,
Sorry,
I
I'm getting on tangents now.
well, I mean, if we went down the Browns, just went
Yeah,
down that, we
yeah.
uh, we'll leave that. We'll
Let's leave that alone.
table that discussion for the next time, because that would be something to get your brother on here, because I think I just sit here and twiddle the thumbs. Just these
Yep.
guys are in misery right now. But
No, we're doing
back,
better. All right.
trending up. I like the little man you guys have in the middle of the field. I don't know what that's about, but the
Brownie
stocking
the elf,
elf.
bro. Oh, come on. Brownie the elf is that's a G right there.
Ah, Brownie the elf. Yikes! He looks like a two
All right.
quarters of Freddy Krueger, but I digress.
All right. Anyways,
But
let's keep it
anyway,
moving and a grooving, huh?
yeah. Final thoughts on, should JJ be a top 15 pick?
I don't think he should be top 15. I think he has a lot of upside. I think he's got a lot of potential. I don't think he should go that high. But I know how the NFL is, and they fall in love with stories and they fall in love with potential. And so if he does go top 15, I as long as it's not to a team I like, I'm good.
Well, I guess I'll give my final thought on it is, I can see why an NFL team would be interested in him, just for the simple fact of the game manager role. He could do some things. He's athletic. He can get outside the pocket. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he reminds me of a more buttoned down Jim McMahon, play style wise. Not as improvising and doing his own thing, but I
Yeah.
think I think he could go to a team, like a coach that he could identify with, like Mike Vrabel to Tennessee. I feel like JJ and like a Vrabel type combination, or
Mm.
a Antonio Pierce. I would like him to fit in Vegas, just because they have
Yeah.
a multitude of weapons with Devontae Adams, and I think they'll
Mm.
run the ball really well, which that's something they could lean on. And I think the kid can make NFL throws.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
So, speaking of Michigan, and
Mm-hmm.
we have Greg Shrugs, um, turned in
Mm-hmm.
his letter of he turned in his resignation letter,
Mm.
after an OWI arrest
Yeah.
in Ann Arbor.
Yeah. I wonder who wrote that for him.
Yeah. Sharon Moore did
Sounds like
not
a
Sharon Moore did not comment, because it's a university matter, which is
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, yeah, you don't comment on that. I get that. It sounds like it was a, hey, come to my office. here's the letter you wrote resigning. Go ahead and sign it. Which,
Yeah.
you know what? At the same time, uh, dude, how long has he even been there? Like a couple weeks?
I think he was there like 15 days.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's no hard feelings there. Like, let him go. He blew. I think I heard he blew a .16, which is double the
Ooh.
legal limit. Like, okay, you didn't just have a couple drinks with dinner with the wife and head home and blow a .08. Which, first of all, no legal advice. Don't blow ever. Just don't. It's never going to work in your favor ever. They're just gathering evidence. That's something that I was told a long time ago, and I didn't listen to it ever. But that doesn't matter. Okay.
But I digress.
But you should listen to it now. But no, I mean, that's just, dude, you're 2 weeks in on the job and you get an OVI. I mean, come on, man.
Uh,
You're not even trying. Like,
well,
again, goes back to what we talked with ETN, buddy. And now players are making as much as coaches in a lot of cases. Like, I don't know if ETN is, I don't know his NIL package, but they're
he's
making
getting
enough money.
40,000 a month, but
Yeah, I mean, well, that's tough to live on. Trust me. No, I'm kidding. but no, but like, bro, you're making X amount of dollars. If you want to go get tanked, I'm cool with it. Just be responsible. Have somebody drop you off and take an Uber home, or get there and leave your car and take an Uber home, or call your wife. Like, what the fuck? Like, was he alone in the car? What the hell is his wife doing? God knows she's not working.
right.
So I don't know. It's stupidity and it's negligence and just really, really fucking, like, I wouldn't hire that guy ever again. Like, dude, if you can't even last 2 weeks, I'm done with you.
And here's another caveat to that. I feel like everybody that has gone up to Ann Arbor knows what's coming
Yeah.
because and Scoop had it first. Your brothers talked about it on
Mhm.
Menace.
Yeah.
It's coming, whether Michigan fans want to admit it or not. Everybody that was from last year is going to get most likely a show cause, and they'll be lucky if they don't get the death penalty.
We'll see. I mean, I hope so. I've been hearing that a lot, and I'm just waiting for it to happen, man. Like, it's been coming for a long time now, and it hasn't came yet.
And this is what I think the NCAA is going to do to stick it to them. It's going to be April 31st or whatever,
Mhm.
or
April 30th. Yeah.
April 30th at whatever time the portal closes. That's when the hammer is going to come down. I
Mm, yeah.
that's just me.
Could be. Could
So
be.
if I'm the NCAA and I really want to stick it to somebody, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So we will move on to Clemson, who's been mentioned tonight.
Yep.
Joins Florida State in the grant of rights lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I have seen and what I've heard from other sources is that
Mm-hmm.
when these schools signed this grant of rights deal for the TV contracts, they
Yep.
didn't even know what was in it.
Wow. So I can tell you one thing that I know for sure, and that is negligence is not innocence. So just because you don't know what the law says doesn't mean you don't have to abide by it. So if you were dumb enough to sign a contract you didn't read or understand, doesn't mean you don't have to abide by it. You signed it, you're locked into it. Now, I do know that there is a portion of it that they're fighting where it has something to do with competitive ability. And essentially, the ACC schools are saying that the ACC and ESPN are hindering their competitive ability because of this grant of rights. and there's some kind of verbiage or something in there that they believe the fact that they aren't making, because you're talking about making 30 million versus 70 million, like we can't be competitive with that.
Yeah, right.
So there is some kind of verbiage in there that they believe they can exploit to either get out of it or at least force them to renegotiate it. I don't know if
Because
that'll happen, but that's what they believe.
because I believe this issue came up probably right before Nebraska jumped ship and came to the Big Ten, and then Colorado bolted to the Pac-12
Mm-hmm.
because Colorado, Nebraska were mediocre at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma and Texas were bitching because nobody else was even sniffing a BCS bowl game, and they were
Yeah.
doing all the heavy lifting. And this is essentially what broke up. That's why Texas A&M left. That's why Missouri left,
Mm-hmm.
because all the money was funneling to Texas and Oklahoma, and then Texas had their separate ESPN deal, which was a
Yep.
joke. I can't
Yeah.
believe the Big 12 allowed that. The Longhorn Network, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, the Big 12 had no power in that. Texas ran that ship. So they
yes.
said, we're doing this. You can fuck off. We'll leave too. And then they did eventually.
And Daddy Nick is not around because I am sure when they go to Death Valley for the first time, I think they'll just run signs and they'll have blimps with horns down. I
Oh, for
guarantee
sure.
you that is coming, and Texas better get used to that because I
Yeah.
think Sark. Because if Sark has another good year, I wouldn't be surprised if he throws his name in for an NFL job and gets it because he's a great offensive mind.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
the huge thing is in the NFL you don't have to recruit. But
Yeah.
with that being said, I think the ACC is on life support right now, and the teams I think that will jump ship is going to be Clemson, Florida State, Duke, North Carolina, and throw Notre Dame on top.
Yeah. Miami for sure too. They're gone.
Oh, I
Yeah.
the problem with Miami is if you're Miami, do you want to go to the Big 12 or you want to go to the SEC?
The SEC if they'll have you, but I don't know that they will.
I
Um,
think Miami's a couple bad seasons away, but no campus stadium, and they go to the SEC. You're one step above Vanderbilt, but you're not quite a Kentucky with Mark Stoops.
yeah, but you're still getting 70 million a year
That's
or whatever. Like, I mean, the money at the Big 12 is comparable to the ACC, not the SEC. So no, if I got the opportunity to go to the SEC, I'm going, baby. Give me that bread. I'll figure out how to win later. But no,
and
I agree. I think the ACC, the problem that the ACC has is that courts fucking hate college football. They hate the NCAA. They hate everything about it because they get away with murder. And every time somebody goes in front of the court system with an NCAA lawsuit, the NCAA loses 9 times out of 10, if not more. So
right.
the courts are already going to be like, let's see how this ACC thing is fucking the schools, because I know they are. And if they lose this lawsuit and Clemson and Florida State get out, everybody gets out.
Yeah,
And then you're talking
because
about, I mean, it's open season. And then Notre Dame is going to be loosely flirting with what the options are out there. But I think Notre Dame's new AD knows the writing is on the wall. And luckily, they aren't locked into this same grant of rights. Notre Dame could leave a lot easier.
oh yeah, because they're uh, here's the thing that a lot of people that live in the Midwest, especially Indiana, Ohio, Illinois,
Yeah.
Michigan, we're not in the South. Football drives the bus because people watch football more than they do basketball. And I try to pound that into people's heads in Indiana, and they don't, they're
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, Indiana basketball. You know what? They
Which
fucking won
hasn't been good since fucking Bobby Knight. So
they won two fucking games last year. Indiana basketball made $11 million for the school, and they play double the games. Double the
Yeah,
games of football. You get 6
yeah,
home games for football, and they made $38 million. You got to be shitting me, dog.
yeah. But Indiana loves to be a basketball school, even though they haven't really been good except for like a 20-year stretch.
Right, right. So,
But yeah,
but at least you're on board with me that Notre Dame is going to join a conference, and the Domers up there and their ascots need to get on board with this because
yeah, and I think the new AD, like just reading through the lines of between the lines of what he said, I think he understands that. It's just he isn't gonna, at least publicly, position himself in a way that he can't get the best deal possible for Notre Dame. So like if the ACC figures this shit out and they offer the best deal, Notre Dame will be an ACC school tomorrow. If that, but they have to figure out how to not lose anybody and how to restructure the grant of rights so that everybody's getting paid about what the Big Ten and SEC is, which isn't going to happen anytime soon.
because
If if
uh
that doesn't happen,
go
I
ahead.
think it's a foregone conclusion they're a Big Ten team. They have no desire to be in the SEC. They don't believe in the SEC. They don't agree with the SEC's values and morals. They don't agree with the academic standards. The Big Ten at least offers them that AUU or AAU or whatever it's called accreditation like standard that almost every school in the conference has. I don't know if everybody does anymore because I don't know if Washington, Oregon, and those guys are. I know USC and UCLA are,
Yeah.
but they have that academic standard that Notre Dame really prides itself on. So I think the Big Ten is the obvious choice unless the ACC can figure something out to save themselves. Because right now they're on, like you said, they're on life support.
Here's another thing that I'll throw at you while we're on this. Is this down to, it's not in the show notes, but is this down to whoever balks first, the ACC or Big 12, because one of these conferences is going to eat each other? Whether it's
Hmm.
because the Big
I don't know.
12
I
is
don't. Yeah.
the Big 12 is pretty solid because I think Willie Fritz is going to do good things at Houston.
Yeah. I mean, the Big 12 is fine. So the difference right now, and not that the ACC is bad at basketball, because obviously they have Duke, North Carolina, some of the traditional basketball. But the only thing holding the Big 12 together outside of just decent football is they are the premier basketball conference, right? And so that can carry you enough to stay relevant. Now, if you lose a Kansas or something like that to a different conference, now you're talking about that all getting funneled, right? Arizona, Kansas, some of those programs. But the ACC has some of those programs, but they're not quite as good, right? Like you don't have a Baylor in the ACC. You got Duke, North Carolina, used to have Syracuse, but they're not as good. Clemson apparently is good. They just beat Arizona. Shout out, but
yeah,
those two are like more basketball conferences, but the ACC is better at football. So the ACC has a little bit of a leg up right now. I don't see them eating each other. I see the ACC losing its majority of its football programs and either combining with the Big 12 to make a power basketball program or basketball conference and to just go all in on basketball. And still
like,
obviously play football and like, yeah, we get a team in the playoff or whatever, but
but here's because you brought that up. This is where I was going with this.
hmm,
Remember the Big East when you had
yeah.
Seton Hall, Villanova, Pitt, you had outstanding Big Monday.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
It was unbelievable, and I
Hmm.
almost want to say that I think the top tier ACC programs and the top tier Big 12 programs will merge and form their own conference. So I think maybe in 24 months we might know who the top echelon football and the top echelon basketball, because you could have KU, K State, Houston, Oklahoma State, uh, Houston, or I think I
Baylor,
said Baylor,
and
with
then you
Duke,
get Duke, North
North
Carolina,
Carolina, West
Pitt,
Virginia.
West Virginia, Syracuse, Connecticut, or
That
Connecticut's still in the Big East or whatever. But yeah,
yeah, but the Big
yeah,
East, the Big East they've been taxing that ass in the tournament. They got 7 of the Sweet 16.
I know. No, I could see that happening. The only thing you're gonna have to look at is there's still gonna be some programs in that like Big 12 and ACC that are football programs that make a shit ton of money for the conference, and they're not giving that up. So
Well,
you'll get the Colorados and the Clemsons and the things like that. It
Houston.
yeah, whoever's not out of the conference and gone to the Big 10 or SEC. I think the way I think this all plays out, if it plays out the way that I think it should, is you're going to have like 3 super conferences, 2 that are focused on football, Big 10 and SEC, 1 that's focused on basketball. Now, you're still going to have good basketball programs in other conferences. You're still going to have good football programs in other conferences, like the non-focus. But the Big 12 has already, in my eyes, said we're focused on basketball. Fuck football. We already lost it. And I think the ACC, if they lose Florida State, Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, I think they say fuck football. We'll still do it because it makes money, but we're going to focus on being the elite basketball conference. And so either at that point you absorb some of the Big East teams and you create 2 super conferences in basketball, 2 super conferences in football, or you combine forces with the Big 12 and you make 1 super conference in basketball that collects all the checks.
That is a more realistic plan, because there's also schools out there that are the Seton Halls, the Villanovas. The people
Mm-hmm.
people love those programs. And I Seton Hall, great program. St. John's, the non-football playing schools, which I'm
Yeah.
still shocked that Connecticut plays Division One football, but I
I didn't know they did anymore, honestly.
I
I know they used to, but
but yeah.
yeah.
And I guess we will circle back and hop on this last topic. Otani's interpreter stole millions from him and he didn't know.
Hats off to you, buddy. Good job. You got away with it, buddy. Hey, I
How
love
is
it.
this guy? How is this guy not in jail?
Which one?
Uh,
The
well,
interpreter? Because the interpreter
yeah,
didn't fucking steal shit. If he
because
did, there'd be charges.
because I think Otani was gambling and the interpreter was
For
the bad
sure he
guy.
was. For
He,
sure he was.
he was the.
100%.
I wonder what he took a bath on the March Madness.
I saw him there, man. He was sweating a parlay. I know that look.
I guarantee you that guy was betting big.
Yeah.
And
No, listen, I don't care. I don't care at all. All I need to know is, was he betting on himself or against himself? Because if
I,
he was betting on himself to throw over 10.5 Ks in a game, fuck yeah, let's go, baby. I love that. Bet on yourself. Love it.
I
If he's going on the under and he made sure he didn't throw 10 strikeouts, then fuck you. Get out of the sport.
I bet Otani a lot last year in
The
strikeouts,
over
because
hit a lot.
his
And
number was
which makes me believe he was betting the over. He believed in himself, and I have no problem with that. You should be allowed to bet the over on your stats.
and the only thing that I find strange when it comes down to it is what type of bookie, and I get it, but what type of bookie is going to take on $4.5 million in uncollected debt?
Nobody, buddy. Not unless you know that your client is actually Shohei Otani, who's about to make $700 million. Nobody's
Now,
taking on that debt for some dude making 80 grand a year. I'm sorry, nobody. That's just bad business.
Well,
Like,
here's the next thing that while we're into this, does him deferring or the Dodgers deferring all that money have something to do with this investigation? Because they deferred a shitload of money.
no, yeah, he decided to do that though.
Is that
It was
because
Otani's choice. It was because when he gets the money, he'll be back in Japan and it won't be taxed in LA.
I guess that's a way to.
But no, I don't think it has anything to do with it because I don't think there's an investigation. The MLB already squashed it and said, "All right, cool." He said he
Yeah.
didn't do it. This is our show pony. We can't kill the golden goose, man. Like Pete Rose was one thing, but this guy is an international superstar. He's got all of Japan on his back. Like we can't
Well,
kill
you
that market. Hell, some
did
of China thinks he's Chinese. We're trying to get in there too.
China. Yikes. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Otani and I bet that interpreter will he'll either come up missing, no one will ever hear from him again.
Oh, dude,
Because
he's already back in Japan. He's living
oh
large.
yeah.
He's
Oh
good.
yeah. And
I got a
and
buddy in Japan. Just had a beer from him yesterday. No, I'm just kidding.
hey,
But
who
I do
knows?
have a buddy in Japan. But no, he didn't have a beer with him. But yeah, no, I mean that whole thing. There is a 0% chance in my mind that Otani had nothing to do with it, knew nothing about it, and this guy literally stole $4.5 million from him. No way.
It just seems like the biggest sham in the world. Like,
Yeah.
the guy with
And the
the
MLB is
sham
just
wow.
yeah. And the MLB is just like, hey, you guys need to believe this, okay? Because we're not dealing with it. We're done. We're out. This guy's the next Babe Ruth or the new Babe Ruth, so we're not touching it. It's been fun. Have a good night. Like,
Oh yeah.
no, that it's Jover, as they say.
Oh yeah. Somebody yes, Mr. Drew.
Yeah,
It's
we can
over.
call him that.
Yeah.
But
So well,
good
I
deal,
guess
man.
we have ran through the show notes and
Perfect.
I everybody out there listening, appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Like the show, subscribe, share it with your friends. Like help Duke here and myself just blow this up, make it a little bit bigger. Hopefully you guys find some entertainment value in it.
So we're just two guys having a conversation, and with that being said, Carter, I think that's a wrap. So everybody have a
Sounds
good
good,
night.
man.
Thank you again, Carter, for joining, and I will
Absolutely.
talk to you after the show.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good one.
Yep. All right.